Whenever something small happens and our we're so overwhelmed, our brain goes, that is
It's
not small.
impossible.
That is huge and it's life threatening and it's impossible and we're not going to make it.
Right.
That is a loss of hope. Hey, everybody, welcome to the Leader Lab. This is Leadership Shorts, quick thoughts to help you level up your leadership. My name is Chad Wright. I'm the founder of Forward Partners, and I'm joined, as always, by my partner in podcasting, Emily Grace Deal. Don't let our smiles fool you. We have serious things to talk about today. We're just having a good time doing this. Emily, what are we going to, I forgot what we're doing. Emily, what are we going to talk about today?
Burnout.
Let's talk about burnout.
We've done an episode before talking about the 4 major signs of
Yes.
burnout. What do those signs of burnout rob us of, and how do we counter them?
Okay. So I think these 4 signs, these are really common signs of burnout, right? And I think a lot of people, when we're doing these workshops, they look at all 4 and like, yep, bingo, I got all of them. Great. You know, the 4 signs are overwhelm. So a loss of perspective, a sense of this little thing seems like a big, scary thing, right? And we often react to small things like they're big things. Cynicism. And this goes beyond just being cynical. I think I'm pretty cynical. You can be pretty cynical. I know John is cynical. Poor John. I don't think you're that cynical. I just want to call you out and bring you into the show. One of these days you're going to have a mic too, and you can talk back to us. Cynicism is a big side of it. And it's not just being cynical. It's seeing only the bad side of things. And you can take a good thing, not only see why it's bad, but point out to other people why it's bad.
Right. You have to bring them in.
Yes. It's a cynicism that spreads beyond just you. Fatigue, that inability to find rest. You're just exhausted. I describe it as you go to bed tired, you wake up tired. And then loneliness, that feeling that there's no one you can talk to about the weight that you're bearing and the problems that you're dealing with. Each one of these, I think, robs us of a very key part of healthy leadership. But then we have to figure out, how do we get these things back? And so ultimately, these signs steal these things from us, but these things are the thing that help us stop burnout in the first place.
Right. That makes
So it's
sense.
this weird thing where we just need to understand it and chase these things. So the first one with overwhelm, it's a loss of perspective. And I think what it robs us of is hope. Whenever something small happens and we're so overwhelmed, our brain goes, that is not small. That is huge and it's life threatening and it's impossible and we're not going to make it. That is a loss of hope, because otherwise, when you have hope, when you are filled with it, and again, I go back to this guy one time said, hope is not a strategy. And I agree. It's not. It's a foundation of a great strategy, right? When you look at a problem and go, that is solvable. That's hope. We can figure this out.
Right. I think the overwhelm is immediately like, everything is too big for me to handle.
Yes.
And hope puts it in a little bit more realism. Like we can do this.
We can do this.
Like, no matter how big it is, we can do it.
Yes. And I think that it takes hope from us. And so to find hope, we have to find perspective. And like most things, it's going to require often other people to give us that perspective, right? So if you find yourself with a lack of hope, it's going to be reaching out to others and going, hey, here's my situation. Here's how I'm seeing it. How do you see it?
Yeah, because overwhelm literally is the like, this is not doable. And then hope is that counter, like, this is doable.
Yes, we've got this. We can figure this out. Cynicism. I think what that robs us of is realistic optimism.
Okay.
So we talk about realistic optimism all the time, is we're going to acknowledge realistically the problems. Yeah, that's a big, scary mountain that we're trying to climb. But we're going to climb it. Like it is that perfect mixture of determination and vulnerability to find realistic optimism. But when we're cynical, when all we see is the bad side of things, I think it can rob us of that ability to be optimistic. And again, these tie together, right? Hope and realistic optimism are very intrinsically tied together. And so I think
it's that like realistic optimism is that piece of like where cynicism is just like, yeah, good luck with that. Like, that realistic optimism is like, no, I see that you have a point that this is going to be hard,
terrible, but and it's always the but that it hinges on, right? It is no, we are going to figure this out. And I think the more cynical we get, the more it's hard to hold on to that. Just like holding on to hope, it's hard to hold on to that realistic optimism. And again, it's perspective. I think it's getting other voices and other people around you to help you see reality. Because the thing is, when we're burned out, we don't actually see reality. We see the narrow kind of angle on reality. And that filter is often dominated by burnout. It's dominated by these signs here. So it's really hard for us to understand reality. So again, other people, and you're going to find in all these other people is really, really helpful, right?
Yes.
Fatigue robs us of that sense of rest. It robs us of restoration.
I love that both of these aren't necessarily tied to sleep, right?
Yes.
Fatigue is not 100% that you just need to go get like 8 hours of sleep.
Absolutely.
That's not necessarily what that is.
No, it's you can get so burned out experiencing what you're experiencing at work, at home, whatever it is, that you can experience 8 hours of sleep and it doesn't necessarily fix it. Fatigue is so much deeper than just I'm not sleeping.
Right.
And really it will tie into how we handle stress, but also all the different rhythms we need to observe. We talk all the time about the daily rhythms of restoration.
Right. When we say rest, we're not talking about going to get a good nap.
Exactly. It's the daily rhythms of restoration. It's the weekly, the monthly, the quarterly, the yearly. Like if we're not observing any of these rhythms, fatigue is going to just own us. And finding rest is going to be really hard. When you observe none of the good things and you're trying to find rest with one nap or one good, night's sleep, it's not really going to help.
Right.
And I think that's the interesting part is redefining rest as restoration. So what is going to restore you? And ultimately it's going to be about those rhythms. Those rhythms are what's going to help you to be restored.
Right.
And one way I've heard it described is they talked about the idea that if you're tired, you just need a nap. If you're depleted, you got to be replenished. And that requires more than just a one-off action. It requires a series of actions. So definitely. I think that's if we're experiencing fatigue, it's going to rob us of restoration. The way to get back there is rhythms of restoration. And we've got some great episodes on that as well. And then finally, loneliness. I think it robs us of the ability to be vulnerable. And vulnerability is such a key to healthy leadership.
Yeah, this is the people part more.
This is the hard part, right? Because the loneliness says, not only are you alone, no one will understand you. No one understands the weight you bear. No one will get it. So don't talk to anybody about it because they're going to think you're weak.
Right.
They're going to think you don't have it, that bad things, again, our fear is going to tell us.
Keep that locked as much as possible, down deep where no one can see it.
Keep that. And this goes back to the episode before we talked about fear and focusing deeply on it, right? What that fear tells us, nobody's going to understand it. So never talk about it. Let's hide it. Let's focus even deeper on it because we're going to find truth, which is that we're not actually alone. We do need other people. And then we can start to deploy that vulnerability to say, I need help. I need other people.
Yeah.
And I love how all these are kind of tied together, right? Because when we find restoration, we're going to have a different perspective, which allows us to be vulnerable more, which allows us to solve the loneliness.
Yeah, I really like the connection between each of them. They just kind of make sense to go together.
They do. They each rob us of that key element of healthy leadership, but also employing those things is how we get back, how we get out of the burnout curve.
Right.
And so I think it's really just helpful to understand that how those work together. Leaders, let's talk next steps. If you are experiencing a consistent sense of overwhelm, cynicism, fatigue, or loneliness, there's a chance you are somewhere deeper in that burnout curve. And it is robbing you. It's robbing you of hope. It's robbing you of realistic optimism. It's robbing you of the ability to be restored. And it's robbing you of vulnerability. Those are actually the keys to getting back. You're going to have to learn to deploy vulnerability to say, I need help. And as you get more help around you, you're going to get different perspective. You're going to find out the overwhelm is lying to you, that there is hope. You're going to find that you can be realistically optimistic, acknowledging challenges while being optimistic. You're going to find solutions and you're going to find the ability to rest. When you're holding up that boulder, we go to the image all the time of people holding the boulder up. When other people can put their hands on that boulder and allow you to rest because you're vulnerable, you are going to find that restoration you're looking for. And so if you are trapped in burnout, that's the path back, is ultimately starting with, I need some help. And that is really going to unlock some great things for you. If people want to send anything to us, if they want to send us an I need help email, where do they send that to?
lab@forwardpartners.net.
lab@forwardpartners.net. If they want to find where we are talking about leadership all the time with our online content, where do they find that?
@ForwardPartner.
@ForwardPartner on LinkedIn, Instagram, Facebook. Follow those. Find the help that you need. And if you have no one else, reach out to us. We genuinely want to be a resource for the leadership community. Emily, thank you for this conversation. I love dissecting ideas like this.
Yeah.
John, Porchlight Production Vineyard, thank you, sir, for producing. And thank you for watching. Thank you for listening. If you know a fellow leader trapped in burnout, send them this episode along with a message that says, I'm here for you. That will absolutely change their life. We will see you next time right here in the Leader Lab for Leadership Shorts.